Good morning, gamers, and welcome to Part-Time Tech. I'm your host, Mark, and today we will be going through Wild Hearts and how it runs on the most typical hardware setup as per the Steam hardware survey. Now, the reason that we're doing this is there's a few reasons behind why I wanted to make this channel and I wanted to make these particular videos. Nowadays, money's pretty tight. Everybody's struggling to make ends meet. Not everybody can afford the newest hardware, but at the same time, games are also getting more expensive, and those purchases, $99 for a game, if you don't have the best hardware, how do you know it's going to run well on your machine? Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into the game settings on the most typical Steam hardware setup the gamers out there have got, and let's see if we can actually get this game Wild Hearts running well and see if it's actually worth your hard-earned money. All right, let's get into it. Okay, now as we're loading into the game, I just want to make a few mentions in regards to the current review rating of this particular game on Steam. It does have a mostly negative review score for the moment, and the majority of people online are citing things like poor performance, stuttering, hanging, which in a particular game like Wild Hearts, where you require accurate dodges and timing and everything, it can take away from the user experience. So let's just see how it stacks up compared to those negative reviews and whether or not we can actually get Wild Hearts running decently on the most common Steam hardware setup as per the Steam hardware survey. So we're just loading into the game now, and okay, now that we've loaded into the game, we can see some butterflies flying around, some nice green foliage, and panning the camera about, we can see some stutteriness, a little bit of jerking. We notice that the frame rate has dropped down. Our 1% lows are at 30 FPS and our 0.1% lows are at 9 FPS. We are holding a fairly constant frame rate of about 48 frames per second, but in reality, the frame rate being at 48 frames per second is okay, but we really want to be keeping an eye on those 1% lows and those 0.1% lows. So now we're just going to jump into the menu and have a look at our graphics settings. We're on 16 by 9, 1920 by 1080, full screen, which is important. When you are playing a game on lower tiered hardware or past hardware and you want to get the most out of the games, it's best to keep it in full screen and not have borderless windowed or windowed mode engaged. We've set VSync enabled and also a FPS limit of 60 frames per second. The preset out of the box, the game has chosen standard. Now, we are on a tier of hardware that is actually above the minimum requirements, not by much, but we are just slightly above the minimum requirements that the developer recommends for the game. Textures have been set to high and the rest on medium. Anti-aliasing is on, or AA is on. When we're running on lower tiered hardware, I do recommend that we turn AA off for a smoother experience because it can take a little bit of system resources there. And I always turn motion blur off because I just don't like motion blur. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that off right now, and then we will jump into the game and have a look and see once we start moving about how the game performs. Okay, and we've reset the metrics just to give it a good basis point before we start actually moving around and interacting with the game. As you can see, our 1% lows and our 0.1% lows are now up above 30 FPS, which is good. Ideally, I would like it to stay above that, but as you can see, it's slowly creeping down as we move around. We've got a little deer friend on screen now. I think that's our spirit animal. We need to follow them, but that is not the name of this particular video. We want to see how the game actually runs. So we're going to have a look at the water. We're going to run around, look at waterfalls, things like that, move the camera, see what happens. And we can already see that we're starting to drop down on our 1% lows and our 0.1% lows to quite a low amount at 30 FPS and 8 FPS especially you're going to really notice that when playing the game, and which is a little bit worrying considering we don't act for anything on the screen like particle effects or creatures, too many textures. The foliage density isn't that high. Yeah, we've got some nice butterflies and there are plenty of trees up there, but we're really not seeing much that should stress our system at the moment. Oh, and here we have some enemies. So here is a chance to actually draw our sword and get in and amongst it. Oh, well, you could see straight away when we did that first vertical slash, there was a hitch in the game, and we have dropped down to our 0.1% lows of 3 FPS per second, and our average frame rate is slowly creeping down from that 50 now down to that 46 that we saw earlier. We also see that particular tutorial video very jittery. I'd be interested to see if that is actually the same on higher tiered hardware. But that tutorial video, I'll bring it up on screen, was actually quite poor, very hitchy there in the back end. And our 0.1% lows have now dropped down to 3, and our 1% lows is 26 frames per second. We're still following Dear Friend though, so let's see what happens if we keep on following Dear Friend. A little bit of a crouch tutorial here. You can see again that tutorial video is quite hitchy, but let's sneak up on Dear Friend and see what happens. Oh, we can either pet him or slay him. I think we're going to pet Dear Friend. He's been a friend to us so far. He might actually give us something. Giving him a little pet there, and fantastic. It looks like he's dropped something for us to pick up. What's this? So that was a nice transition to our character creator, and we've managed to create our character. Now we have been tasked with moving on and beating some sort of kimono type creature. So we'll go up here. Hopefully this will give us a little bit more information as to how the game is going to run when we have lots of things happening on screen. So let's fast forward to that fight. Oh, we got some wolf boys here though that seem to be in our way. So let's quickly kill these. We can see our 1% lows have dropped down to 1 FPS. That may actually be due to the loading screens though, so bear that in mind. Oh, that slash definitely caused a little bit of slowdown on the screen. Our frame rate minimum has dropped down to 9 FPS, so that is a little bit of a concern with that frame rate dropping so low. Our average frame rate is consistently dropping. We're now down to 38 average frames per second. If you remember at the start of the video, we were at 50 average frames when we first loaded into the tutorial. Now, apparently, I don't know, we have to... Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So we have to kill the poor little creatures on the ground and skin them. Great. Classic Monster Hunter. So while we just collect the pelts of these creatures, there we are. All right, let's go have a look at this boss and see what's up. But before we do that, actually, let's just have a quick look at the settings and see if we can get it running a little bit better. So we're going to reduce the textures. We're going to drop them down to medium. We're also going to drop the shadows to low. Now, shadows and reflections are something that can be quite taxing on your system and don't offer a lot in relation to graphical fidelity. You can lower the shadows and lower the reflections and still get a good looking experience. Now, we are trying at this stage just to see if we can get the game to perform nicely. So we're going to do that, and then we'll move up to this boss and see what happens. So let's just fast forward the video to the boss and we'll go from there. There was some hitchiness as we moved through the tunnel there, and we seem to have some rabbit bros running away from something. So that's usually a bad sign. So we're going to go in the direction that everything is fleeing from. Yes, typical video game logic right there. Fantastic. Okay, lots of particle effects in this area. Lots of particle effects in this area around the boss, which seems to be really hampering our frame rate, and our average, our minimum frame rate has dropped down. Let's see if we can get that, let's see if we can get it performing a little bit better. We're going to have to probably drop things quite down to quite low settings here. So let's go ahead and drop our particle effects to low, our procedural density to low. So that's your vegetation and your foliage. Let's drop that down to low. Let's drop our volumetric, like our clouds, down. That should help. Let's get back in and see if that's actually had any impact on what's going on. Now, our frame rate is up around 50. Oh, ooh, we actually saw 60 frames per second then when looking up at the skybox. Wow, we hit our target of 60 frames per second, but that was only for a brief instant. Let's see what happens when we actually go in and fight this boss. He doesn't look so tough, does he? He's got some trees hanging off his back. He's eating the deer. He's eating our friend. All right, well, we're definitely going to have to get some revenge here. Definitely going to have to get some revenge. He does look rather mean, though. He does look rather mean. Looks like he hasn't flossed in a while, either. Okay, alright. And straight away we can see that when the boss is loading animations, we do have some hitching going on. Oh, that was an interesting attack there. That's gotta love the good old hit to AoE. Yep, so the boss is being quite hard to track. You notice when he's doing his animations, there is some hitching in the game. I couldn't imagine how this would be like on a normal hard drive and not an SSD. We would probably have quite the problem keeping up with what was going on the screen now. Oh. Those 1% lows and 0.1% lows dropping down to 29 FPS and 5 FPS respectively. Oh! It's a scripted fight. We were meant to lose. But it looks like we've well and truly lost. We've got something hanging out of our body. We've got ice stuck in our chest. But what's this? There's always a bigger monster. If Monster Hunter games have taught me anything, there is always a bigger beast. I'm looking a little bit worse for wear here. Oh. Can I escape? I am very slowly getting away. You can instantly notice that when those particle effects have left the screen, the game got a lot smoother. Oh, and back to a cutscene. Oh, what's this? Ooh, he's a Chungus. Look at that, big Chungus. Well, he saved our lives. Let's hope he doesn't look at us. Because I'm not sure I'm quite in the condition to take on big Chungus. Oh, and... well, we are really having a bad day. We're now falling to our deaths. Fantastic. Okay, we have been given another quest to find Milanto, home of the hunters. But as you know, our quest here is to gain good performance, not find some mystical hunter village. So let's see if we can't change some more settings to see if we can eke a little bit more performance out of this. So we're just going to quickly skip through this part of the tutorial, which was mainly just learning quite interesting little box system in the game where you can make boxes and mantle and climb up them and attack enemies. It's quite Fortnite-y in that aspect. But as I said, we are interested in performance and performance only. So let's see if what will happen if we reduce the performance down even further to get ourselves some sort of performance gain. Okay, so we're going to put everything on low. Textures on low, model quality on low, particle flex on low, global illumination on low. We're going to disable ambient occlusion, and we're also going to disable depth of field and model quality. We've decided to put that on lowest as well. Let's see how the game looks now, and have we been able to get it running smoother. Now we are up into the 50s now as far as our frame rate is concerned. We're seeing 49, 53. So one thing that I've noticed throughout all this, even when putting the frame rates lower, we have not noticed a huge increase in FPS, but what we have noticed is the 1% lows and the 0.1% lows have gotten a little bit better. So lowering the quality of the detail in the game has achieved us some gains there, but not an overall boost in FPS performance. The FPS has never really settled around that 60 FPS. So let's go back out into the wide open world and see what we can see. As you can see, now that we've turned the graphic fidelity all the way down, you can certainly see some screen dooring around the vegetation, in the skybox, around the textures. That is mainly due to the fact that we've reduced everything right down. We've got no AA going on, and we've turned off all of the fancy things that generally smooth over the edge of those textures. Disappointingly, though, that we're still seeing those 0.1% lows dropping into 9 FPS. Our 1% low frame rate, though, is hanging around that 28 frames per second at this stage, and our frame time has dropped a little bit. We're seeing a lower frame time, but this game really does seem to be suffering from some optimizational issues here. Let's see if we can't find a big enemy to see if we can't put the game through its paces. Oh, must have hit a loading wall there, because as you saw, quite a big hitch there, which again knocked back our 1% lows and our 0.1% lows. So those area loadings, sometimes they can't be helped, especially in modern games where they want to have big open areas and have the transitions be as seamless as possible. So you will see those hitches from time to time. But, oh, we have found another Big Chungus. Big Chungus hasn't noticed us yet. He seems to be sniffing around. Okay. Just seems to be some sort of pig type creature. There's a very large eye. He seems to be looking at us, but he doesn't seem to be very interested. Oh, he's giving us a sniff. He's giving us a sniff. Still quite blasé to our presence. Oh, and now he has actually decided to notice us as we were running away. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so he's throwing some rocks at us, and the other creatures seem to be wanting to be out of this area, and I'm going to take a leaf from their book, and I'm going to run away. Sir Mork bravely runs away. Again, though, we are seeing our average frames now living around 50, but I would really love to see those 1% lows and those 0.1% lows come up a little bit. We're just going to hide in this house, and hopefully he'll forget that we existed. No, but where's the fun in that? Let's go poke the pig. Oh, he was hiding in the bushes. Oh, he's coming for us. Again, as I mentioned earlier when we were fighting the first tutorial boss, it is very important in these games to have a consistent frame rate. The hitboxes are pretty precise usually, and the dodging required to avoid the creature's attacks is really quite critical to actually being able to fight in the latest, not only just the earlier creatures in the game, but the later creatures in the game especially. And as you can see, we are getting bullied by Big Chungus the Boar, and that's it. We are we have been suitably bullied. Well, as you can see, the game in areas is quite patchy. It is not very well optimized. Though, while the game itself looks like it could be fun, I would recommend probably waiting a little while before picking this one up. Hopefully the developer takes note of all of the reviews on Steam and puts some work into the performance on PC for this game. I hope you enjoyed the video, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We will be making one of these videos every week in the Will It Run series, looking at brand new games coming out and seeing whether or not we could get them to run well on the average hardware setup as per the Steam hardware survey. So please like and subscribe, and next week hopefully we'll be having a look at Sons of the Forest. Sons of the Forest is a survival game. Survival games is a genre very close to my heart. But yes, like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next video. Thank you. Bye.